This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It's so great to have you joining me here in these online lessons. It's a Theory Thursday. I love music theory. I love fretboard theory. I am delighted to bring this course to you. In this theory lesson, we're going to be working on the Dorian mode, how we play that along the fretboard. So let's just go ahead and dive in. First of all, that Dorian mode is the second mode of the major scale. So we start on step 2 of the major scale and play from step 2 to 2, and we end up with the Dorian mode. That gives us the root, a second, a flatted third, so a minor third there, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a flatted seventh. So by comparison to the major scale, this particular mode has a flatted third and a flatted seventh. If we were looking at it parallel speaking in the key of C major would have no sharps or flats, but Dorian, if it was C Dorian, it would have an E flat and a B flat. So it'd have that flatted third and flatted seventh. How do we play it on the guitar? Well, we learned in the last lesson, we've got these 5 forms that we can play all the modes of the major scale with along the fretboard. We just have to start in the right place. Let's take a look though first at how we get just a single octave of the Dorian mode, and then that single octave plays into these 5 forms, and we'll look at how we get those 5 forms, and then ultimately we'll also look at playing the minor 7th arpeggio, because that would be the chord arpeggio that we would get if we went with every other pitch of this scale, which gives us the notes of the chord that comes off our 2 chord in a major key. We've learned about those things in previous lessons. But let's take a look up here. We've got A and B. These are our single octave scales for the Dorian mode. I'm just going to demonstrate this right in the center of the fretboard. So I'm going to play right here on A, my index finger on A. So we've got a form that's going to start with our index finger. And I've got 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4. I've got a little bit of a shift as we go through this one. So I'm going to start in this position and then shift down. So our single octave form again. And you can work on shifting through that in different ways. You could go 2, 4. You could do a combination and that sort of thing. Now, as we've learned about in previous lessons, we've got this single octave form. We can take it to other string sets. Changes the key if I stay in the same position, but we've got these other ways of playing it. So, right there in 5th position again with that key of A. I can transfer that up to the next strings, and I am in the key of D, but so D Dorian, I could go up to the next strings, and I get G Dorian. Remember that when we get to the 2nd string, we have to shift that string a fret higher. So all of this would be a fret higher, but that was G, and then C. And again, we shift higher on that 2nd string, and then things go back to normal. And those 4 string sets give me the entire octave. I could play little pieces of it. So like on the top string, if I play at the 6th fret with F, I have just that piece of it, or I'd have that piece of it descending. If we came and brought this lower, I could have pieces of it as well. For example, that much, or so we can have pieces of it just like that. Now that's one form. We've got an alternate form where we're going to start with our pinky or the ring finger. In this case, I'm going to start with the pinky for this one, but again, starting off there in A, my pinky at that 5th fret, so on that A, but I'm in 2nd position. Starting this other form, we'd have, so this is another way, form B there is another way to play that single octave Dorian mode. Of course, with this one, we can transfer it to the higher strings. Remembering that when we get to that 2nd string, everything's 1 fret higher. And that's all that I have as far as complete octaves is those 3 string sets. So I had that A, and then I did D, and then G. Of course, you could have just pieces of it if you wanted to on these high strings. or with F, or just one note there with B flat. So I've got those single octave forms, and it's great to work clear around the fretboard just doing the single octave forms. It's a really great thing to do. One of the ways you can do that is just play chromatically. So if I started in G, then I could come up and play in G sharp, and then go up to A and just play along each one of these strings, working on the string sets, and then switch for that form A and then switch and do form B. Now besides playing the single octave scale, it's great to play the arpeggio in there as well. So root, flatted third, fifth, and flatted seventh. So every other pitch that we have there. So if I did that in G, it looks just like that. One, and then I got my pinky there, ring finger, index, ring finger. And of course that could transfer to the other string sets as well. But I could play through that scale and then play the arpeggio. It's a great thing to do. With the alternate form, of course, it starts with my pinky. Just find every other pitch and play that. So great thing to do. Okay, so like we have done with other modes, particularly that major scale, the Ionian mode, we take these two forms and combined they create the 5 positional forms, or we find them within our 5 positional forms. Now I've got these written out same exact order as I will for all the modes of the major scale, so we can see that it's the same 5 forms. We just have to locate our position within them. But if you wanted to look at scale form 3 first, you're going to see that the index, single octave form A there, starts at the bottom. And that might be the most helpful way for you to see that. But these are written out just like they were for the major scale, starting with that first pitch that was there with scale form 1. So I didn't want to change that, reorient here. But scale form 3, just as an example of how this works, if I do this in the key of A minor, I would start with my form A. And then I've reached that octave, and I'm going to switch to form B here. Now I'm back to form A. I still have room in the position, so I'm going to play form A, and then I can come back down. So, and then I switch back to there we are. So I have 2 complete octaves and then just a piece of form A up on top. It just goes back and forth. That's how we're going to find this everywhere we are. Now, if I look at form 3 here, one way to look at each one of these is that we can swap back and forth between form A and form B, either in a complete full octave version of that single octave scale or just pieces of it, but we're going to go back and forth and create all the notes that are in one position. If we take a look at form 3 up here, where we had just what I demonstrated there on the low string, another way to look at these 5 positions is just to take this one and see how everything gets shifted 1 string higher. So we've got it there, and I played it in A. And then if we look at form 4 here, everything's shifted 1 fret higher. If I stay in A, my index finger is going to go to the 12th fret. And then if everything goes 1 string higher, my A is at that 7th fret. Overshot it a little bit, got excited. Just like that. And then if we come around to form 1, where our index finger is on the A at the 3rd string, that's at the 2nd fret. Another way to look at this one is that I'm starting with letter B as far as the single octave forms go, starting with B and then doing A. So we can see it that way. But you got that one, and then we go 1 string higher with both of those. So if I played the A that is at the 10th fret, I have this one. And of course we can see with this one that the root can be played on that at the 12th fret there for A as well. So they just are going across the strings like that. That's how that's working. That's one way to see it. Helpful, I think, is when we look at it. I think it's really helpful to look at it where we see how they are situated next to each other. And it actually goes every other form, 1, 3, 5, and 2 and 4. Or in this case, 3, 5, 2, 4, and then it's going to start over with 1 again and come to 3. So if we did this, if I demonstrate this in the key of A minor, so the A Dorian scale, which has the same notes as G Ionian, which we did in the last lesson, and we get to play these in the same position that we've done before, only we're looking at them from the Dorian perspective. So my pinky is at the 5th fret on the 6th string, and I would go ahead and just play through these here. So we start off with Dorian, A Dorian, pinky's at the 5th fret, form 1. And then if we look at the next one, our index finger is going to come where our pinky was, and we're going to play A Dorian here in 5th position. Just like that. And then from there where my ring finger was, we're going to find our next index finger, so at the 7th fret. Just like that. And then where the pinky was is going to be right where our next index finger goes at the 10th fret on that 2nd string, and we can start there. Or we've got the root at the 12th fret of the 5th string where you can start with your pinky. I'm going to do that. And then from there, our index finger on that 12th fret. From there, that ring finger would start our index again at the 14th fret, and we would be playing with this scale. And with that one, of course, we could start at the 17th fret with our pinky to play A. So that's how the Dorian mode works inside this scale system. If you want to know the scale system better from the major scale, you want to check out the very early lessons in this Theory Thursday session. If this is the first one you're jumping in on, you could also check out the last one where I went over the Ionian mode. We've also looked at how the chords go with these modes. There's lots of great lessons to help you with understanding this theory. The Dorian mode gets used a lot for improvisation. It gets used in jazz and sometimes other styles as well, so it's a great one to learn. And it can be helpful to practice it with the arpeggio. So if we go back, our arpeggio would take every other note. So you just have to find every other note in there, and starting with form 1, that arpeggio would look like this. Notice that when I play the arpeggio that I use all the notes available in the position that are part of the arpeggio. So I play from that lowest root or from any of the roots up to the highest note that is part of the arpeggio, and then to the lowest note that's part of the arpeggio, and then back to the root that I started on. Follows the same pattern for how I play the scales. So again, with this one as an example, I got that root, the flatted 3rd, the 5th, the flatted 7th. Then I got the root, the flatted 3rd, the 5th, the flatted 7th, and then the root. That's the highest note in this position, so now I'm going to descend to the flatted 7th, to the 5th, to the flatted 3rd, to the root, to the flatted 7th, to the 5th, to the flatted 3rd, to the root, and then I have a flatted 7th below that, and then I'm going to come back to that root. So that's how that works. So with this one I've got... If we go up to the next position, I've got... If I go up to that next position, 7th fret there. If I go up to the next position with my pinky at that 12th fret. If I go up to to the next form. So form 4 there with my index at the 12th fret. And then of course I could start again with my pinky at the 17th fret or my index there at the 14th fret. So, and it just continues like that. It's great to work those arpeggios. One of the ways that I'll do it is just play through the scale. And then play the arpeggio. Just like that. Really, really great. Helps us get inside of things that we might use for improvising or composing, and just works the technique of our hands, helps us understand the modes and the guitar better, helps us get these modes inside of our ears. So hope that is helpful. In the next Theory Thursday lesson, we're going to take a look at the Phrygian mode, which is the 3rd mode of the major scale. So that'll be really great. Of course, you got jazz lessons on Mondays, and on Saturdays we're working on improvising in the pop, rock, and blues styles with the pentatonic scales. So that is really great. There's the method books. I'll soon have a new version of the theory and technique book that comes out, which has a lot of this and way, way more. So that'll be super cool. But the method books are there. They may be helpful to you as well. So lots of previous lessons released on the channel. Lots of ways to get help. Keep having fun. Take care, and we'll see you again.
If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.